This is Trifon of Trifonic, and today I'm going to be talking about using dummy clips in Ableton Live 8 to create some interesting rhythmic patterns. So, first I'll show you what it sounds like, and then I'll talk a little bit about how it's done. First, what I'll do is I'm going to have a kick drum that's just playing a constant chord note, and then I'll go through with just one sound some different rhythmic patterns. So they're going to start it with simple patterns, and it's going to get more complicated. So here we go. So as you can see, it's you get a wide variety of patterns, and so let me show you a little bit of what's happening in terms of the routing. So what's going on here? So basically, if I pull up the I/O window here, so what I've got is I have my instrument here. It's just one of the simpler samplers, and so I've just got a sound in there that you can play it. I just took a bit from Parks on Fire, just the acoustic guitars, and just looped a little section of it. I'm just using it. It could be any source, it could be any sound, but in any case, what's interesting about this is the way that it's routed. So this is an instrument channel, so I've got the MIDI ins and outs up here, or where it's receiving MIDI from and what channel, and then on the bottom part is where the audio is going to. So that's the important part for this instrument. So I have the audio set to sends only, so that means there's nothing coming out of this channel unless I have a signal sending from either of the three sends that I have in my track. If you look over here in my return section, I have one called dummy gate, and we're just gonna ignore these other ones for a moment. So this dummy gate is just it's basically just acting as like a bus, so I can send that. In this bus or this return, I have the audio sending to my track called Rhythmic Gate, which is over here, and then Rhythmic Gate's output is going to the master output, so over here. So that's where that's when we're going to be able to hear it. So the reason why I use this return format is that then I can send any instrument, or any track, any audio track, I can send out to send A, and then send A is going to go to my rhythmic gate track, so I can get rhythmic patterns for any of my tracks. So in any case, then what's happening here, what a dummy clip is more or less, I've got some kind of automation happening, and whatever signal's coming out of my instrument here, it's being processed by this automation. So in this case I have volume automation, and that's all that's happening in terms of these rhythmic gate sounds. So if I pull in an audio file, this is a sound effect of like a squeeze toy. So we're not going to actually hear the audio because of what the input of this track is coming from this dummy gate. So it's basically the audio in this track is more or less, it's just not going to happen. But to keep things simple so we don't get confused, I'm just going to pull its volume down to 0, so you don't see the waveform anymore, because that's not what we're interested in. We're interested in the envelope part. So if you don't see the envelope, there's this little E here that enables the envelopes, and the envelope that I want to see is the mixer one, and then track volume. So when I have that, I can draw in automation, and I can do it in two different ways. I can do it sort of in the vector-based or in steps. So if I want to make a pattern of 16th notes and 8th notes, what I'm going to do is I want to do it in steps. So I'm going to set my grid to 32nd notes, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it into draw mode, so it's Command B, and that gives me this pencil tool here. And then what I'm going to do is, so I'll make the pattern's going to go 8th note and then 2/16ths, and it's just going to repeat. So what I'm going to do is just take the volume of the last 32nd notes, 32nd portion of this first 8th note, and set it to 0. And then I'm going to draw in 2/16ths. So it's going to be like this here. And then what I can do if I want this pattern to repeat is I can hit Command B again to go back to this vector-based mode, and I'm going to highlight, undo that, I'm going to highlight this first little bit and then hit Command D, which is to duplicate. So that's going to give me the pattern that I want there, and then I can run the sound through it now, and we can hear this pattern. So any of the sounds on any tracks I could run through this this pattern of 8ths and 16ths. And then to modify this a bit further, and if I wanted it to be not so jerky in terms of its gating, I could get rid of one of these nodes here. Here we go. So if I get rid of this one and do it like this, I get this pattern of spikes, which can be pretty cool. And so once, it takes a bit of effort. Honestly, the tools in Live to do this are kind of primitive, and hopefully over time I'll develop it more. But fortunately, I can at least copy and paste whatever I have. So if I like this shape here and I want it to be another one right after it, I can do Command D and add in another little spike, and continue to make variations on the pattern, or I can have this fade up, and with that I'll just get more interesting patterns. So as you can see, that's that's pretty cool. And then what I might want too is it to not be so extreme in this. It's going from basically full volume all the way down to 0. So I might want it to be more of a 50-50 wet-dry mix. So what I can do is I'm going to select all, and then I can pull up. Let's see. I believe. Here we go. I can pull up on these bottom ones, and sort of have a little bit more of the dry signal coming through. That way it's not quite as extreme. Let's do it a little more. So here's about 50%. And so if you spend the time and develop a series of interesting patterns, then you can always copy and paste from them and create new patterns. So if I like this little craziness here that slows down, I can Command C, copy that, go back to my other pattern here, and drop that right in. Let's see where I want it to be. So I'll have it happen here, and there it is. Drops right in, so we can hear what that sounds like. So obviously, programming something like this takes a long time, and it was very tedious. There's no shortcut. I had to, sort of figure this out. But once you do it once, then you can always copy and paste and create all kinds of interesting patterns.